Hey everybody, it's Eric Balance coming to you with the Resilient Minds podcast, where I feature beautiful entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and experts in their field, where they help us discover their X factor, their experience of life, only to discover how they were able to accomplish and find out their Y factor, their big why, their purpose in life. So join me as we get to discover the beauty of our minds and how can we really continue to go after the biggest and most wildest dreams while we continue to pursue and manifest our greatest intelligence that comes from the heart. Also, if you haven't, go check out the new alignment course that I've created at www.ericbalance.com/alignment, ALIGNMENT. See you on the show.
Welcome to the Resilient Minds podcast. I'm super excited here and sitting with, a new dear brother, but I feel like we've known each other forever.
Yeah.
Mr. Adam, is it Jablin or Jablin?
Javelin, you said it right.
Jablin, beautiful. I always now like traveling. It's interesting. Sometimes I don't know if I gotta put in the hidden, J or whatever. But bro, a pleasure to have you here, man. Really excited to get to know you better. I'm excited for the listeners to get to know you better. And you've been really doing some beautiful things, man. You have this hero's journey, helping people understand that they're the hero in their own lives, really spending this time of diving deeper into your own experiences. And then as a result, helping others, define how they get to ultimately focus on those demons. I don't know if they're demons, but they're opportunities and challenges that really bring out the best version of themselves, right?
Absolutely, brother. That's it seems like that's my calling, that's my mission. And it's been the most joyous, but at the same time, most intense and sometimes nerve-wracking ride of my. Remember, we were just speaking off camera about leaning into uncertainty. If I could summarize the hero's journey and the hero project, it is about leaning into uncertainty, 110%.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you're up to in the world today. I know that you have a #1 best-selling book out. Tell us a little bit about the journey of your own, where you're at today. Rather, we'll talk about the journey in a moment, but where you're at today, and really what's driving you to continue this pursuance of really supporting and sharing this vision with others.
Absolutely. So as of right now, forget about the accomplishments. And by the way, you know what's so funny about those? They don't satisfy that hunger very long at all. It's almost like, well, what's above #1? So those things are nice, and it's what. But what it really is I love coaching. I wish there was a better word for that, because it feels like everybody is in that space, But if it's mentoring, if it's turning the lights on in somebody's eyes, if it's somebody coming to life, I love taking people and having them realize that so many limitations and so many fears and so many anxieties are in their mind and stored within their body, and these limitations are really self-made. And if we could just get past that and get past these unhealthy dependencies, sometimes it's alcoholism, sometimes it's drugs, but sometimes it's shopping, and sometimes it's Amazon, and sometimes it's overworking out, and sometimes it's gambling, and sometimes it's just sitting on your phone all day. And if we could just get past that, and really, really lean into, like you and I said, the uncertainty of life, what's on the other side, that's really where the hero's journey starts. You lean in, you lean into the pain, you lean into the fear, you lean into the love, you lean into the connection, and you lean into the darkness, and you go through the journey, and you slay the dragons that have always been there, because they've been in your mind, and you come out the other end, and then you return home to actually pass these messages on. So that's what I love to do.
Brother, you mentioned something, and first of all, thank you for doing the work that you're doing, because it's so important. We need as many guides, coaches, mentors as possible, because we know that it would be amazing to have this this focal point of people recognizing that their mindset, in the word mindset, it's such a fallacy in my experience, because it gives this perspective of like needing to focus on the mind, and instead I prefer to call it like heart set, like where what if we could focus on the heart, and really bringing our heart above our heads, and giving this perspective of saying, hey, like there's so much more possibility in really following this intuitive wisdom and breaking the barriers of limiting ourselves and not trusting what our body is telling us, what our heart is telling us, because we've been so conditioned to believe that, everything comes from, this logical, intellectual side of our things, the mind. And actually, what I realize when people say, what do I think? I say, I'm trying not to think.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're 100% right. 1,000% right. I remember learning how like the war on drugs doesn't work because you're focusing on war and you're focusing on the word drugs. So mindset is really such bullshit, because you're not going to, if you live from the heart, that's what changes your mindset. Like, so don't focus on the mind. You're 1,000% right. 1,000.
And these things, it's so beautiful. So like, tell me, like, what had, I always share here, like our experiences, right, have given us our X factor, right? Have given us our motivation to pursue our big Y factor, our why, our purpose. So if you can share, what have been some of the experiences that you've gone through that have set you on your path, on your journey to where you are today? And I'd love to hear, because I know we share a similar background, and I'd love to know a little bit more. So I'd love for everybody to get to know a little bit more about, where is this like this drive coming from, this hunger, this needing and desire to serve, because it's coming from a deeper place.
Yeah, let me just try to summarize it, because I don't want to take the whole thing, my story. But when I was young, I was a very sensitive, very intuitive, very emotional kid, and just could really loved my friends, loved my family, but sensitive as a guy, and I was also overweight. I was the fat kid. I was the heavy kid. And everything felt so real and everything felt so intense. But also as I got older, I transformed. I transformed my body. I transformed how I can perform. And I always wanted, it was very strange. Like I was the kid that if I hit you hard in football, I picked you back up and my coach would yell at me. If we were boxing and I got a good one in, I showed you after how I did it. It was just always a part of me. And I hated that part. I hated it because it felt very feminine. It felt like very feminine energy. I didn't know later in years it was going to actually help me. And the thing that really broke me free to be the Adam Javelin on Zoom with you now was getting clean and sober. Dealing with all of that, dealing with all that uncertainty, all those emotions, being sensitive, looking cool, being the part, but at the same time wanting to connect with people in a very emotional way. It was a strange feeling, being successful in business, having to be a killer, being driven, but at the same time wanting to make these harmonious deals, but you can't make a harmonious deal. You gotta win. It was just, there were these two worlds always clashing. And to deal with that and deal with my own insecurities and fears, be it, am I ever going to be as successful as my father? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do, drinking and popping pills really helped, so at the end, I was drinking around the clock. I had a pill for, you name it, uppers, downers, laughers, screamers, Xanax, Ambien, Oxycontin, Percocet, Darvocet, Roxy's, just whatever, acid, mushroom, whatever it was. And I it stopped working, is what really happened. It stopped working, meaning I could drink, I could do whatever, I could take the pills, and I kept hearing the thoughts. Normally I'd be able to have a drink and be with you, and then the anxiety would come down and Superman would come up and it'd be like, yo, hey, Adam's here. At the end, it wasn't working. You would see the effects, it would change my body, but I couldn't, it wouldn't shut off. It wouldn't shut that anxious, nervous, insecure, fearful, depressed guy off. He wasn't leaving. And I was intervened, and in this treatment center, I found these spiritual principles of life. And something happened to me, a profound spiritual experience that changed my life forever. And from that point on, I attacked my recovery. I attacked it like my life depended upon it, because it did. And whatever that looked like, if it was 12-step meetings, if it was service, if it was prayer, if it was meditation, if it was reading, if it was journaling, I just attacked it every day, this new spiritual way of life. And over the years, it became attractive. And people wanted to know what I was doing and learn why is this smile so contagious? And how am I living this way? It just, it wasn't overnight. I still remember when I came home from the treatment center and I'm sitting there, saying a prayer, and my ex-wife, comes in the room and looks at me like, oh, great. Now you're this guy? Wait, so 30 days ago, you're this tequila drinking cowboy, and now you're this? So it took a while for me to get to be the man that I am now. But over that time, like I said, one day at a time, one rep at a time, 1 year at a time, one talk at a time, one act of service at a time, it started to grow. And when we finally sold my family business, it was time for me to step out and really be Adam Javelin. Not this guy helping people in town or flying over here and helping people quietly. It was time to actually step out and say, this is who I am and this is what I do. And I designed it from my personality. I love superheroes. I love Superman. I love the idea of the hero's journey. I love taking people and helping them find their way out. I do love business. I do love helping people realize their potential and their financial potential, but at the same time, their emotional potential, their spiritual potential. So I got every certification I could, ICF certifications and the mentorship certifications. And I continue learning and growing from all these beautiful people. My mentor, Dion, being number one, but Tony Robbins, whoever I can learn from. And so it's NLP, and I bring it all into the hero's journey for my client. And that's it. That's where you got me now.
I love it. This is really special because I feel, we share the addiction, right? And in 2006, you got clean and sober. Is that correct?
2006.
So that's about 16 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I too got, So I got clean 15 years ago. And same thing. So I was, addicted to crack cocaine. And so this is really resonant for me. And it's interesting how these things, these deeper demons, or, living quite honestly in hell, is what allows us to see our greatest potential. And same like you, it's the spirituality that really has helped me continue on the path of uncertainty, because when I look at us, and you mentioned hero, and I love that you love Superman, and I love that, that you bring out this child innocence, right? Because we're children. And so what is the possibility of us as leaders to remind the people around us that we're children of spirit, of great spirit, of nature, of the universe? And reminding that if we actually start paying attention to our inner child, we can start paying attention to the youth around us. Because the youth around us, it's interesting, we'd actually get to look at their eyes. And when you look at their eyes, you pay attention to where they're looking. And when you see where they're looking, you start to be fascinated with what you can learn from. And this is something that I think that through their eyes, we can start to actually see ourselves. And so if we go deeper into ourselves and like focus on these like beautiful experiences of, you know, Disney and Marvel and Star Wars and all these like different, you know, and superheroes, really it gives us this capacity to continue our dreams and recognize that it's not when we close our eyes that we have to live our dreams, but it's when we open them that we see the world as our playground.
That was beautiful. 100%, brother. That. This is exactly why God brought us together and why we're aligned. 100%. 100%.
But bro, and I have to say that the alignment of the way that you're serving and the way that you love business is really quite inspiring. You know, like people, myself included, you know, there's always been a struggle when it comes to business, but business is a spiritual experience.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think that there has to be a lot of faith. You know, it doesn't need to be a spiritual faith. You know, if you have a different belief system, that's totally fine. But ultimately, I believe that there needs to be a higher power that needs to be associated in the way that you're going to provide service to the people. So in your experience, right, when people doubt you or they're uncertain or they're in this egoic complex, right? Especially like how we're, you know, we've distinguished and talked about focusing on the mind. What are some barriers that you come up with, or like some walls that people put up in front of you that you're able to really guide them through? So for anybody listening, maybe they're like, oh yeah, these guys are crazy, you know, they're not the status quo, or, you know, whatever's going on, like these guys are out to lunch, you know, talking about, you know, superheroes. What is something that helps you break a barrier, like right off the hop, so that people can start to recognize the intelligence that they have inside of their heart?
Yeah. Well, first off, if there are people like that, I hope they're looking at us like that, because you love to know this. Some of my clients are the biggest names in the world. You know what I mean? They're the biggest celebrities, the biggest entertainers, the biggest sports athletes, you know what I mean? And the thing that breaks the barrier the most is, and if you have it, I have it, you know, certain people have, is that I come as an open book, letting them know, like, they can feel I have exactly what they have, that competitiveness, that I'm going to win, that whatever that drive is, but that it only takes you so far. It's only gotten you up to, you're here and you're sitting with me for a reason, right? We're here together in this space for a reason. So let's talk about what's really going on. And the easiest way for me to build that bridge is, let me tell you what happened to me. Rather than making you feel like you have to trust me, tell me what's going on with you. You know, let me tell you what happened to me. You know, this is what happened to me. And it usually is the exact power to defeat. So I'm not telling them what we're going to do. I'm not telling them about the experience that they're about to have. I'm not telling them how we're going to change their emotional state. I'm not telling them what this hero's journey and what this hero project is about. I'm not selling. It's like, listen, I know why we're here. I know why we're sitting down. And I know how everybody looks at you. And I know that everybody wants an autograph. And I know that the people that you're supposed to trust the most want the most from you. Do you know what I mean? That it's hard when you want to talk to your mom, but you know your mom's going to ask you for $20,000. And that you feel like your closest people to you are agents, but they're working for you, so they're on payrolls. I know. I get it. Let's talk. You know, let's really talk. And if it's not somebody of that high caliber, if it's someone that I'm just talking to and it's regular folk in business, it always starts with, let's just bond and talk about the causes and conditions of why the hell we're together. You know, let's talk about human.
Yeah. No, go ahead, please.
That's it.
And this is the thing. So whether you're working with celebrities or, you know, a business individual or somebody that's starting,
regular,
what's the biggest thing that you feel is is the most common question that comes up of saying, hey, like, I don't know, but I feel that there's something greater for me. And they don't know the how, right? They don't know, they feel this passion, this desire, this hunger, right? To want to serve in a bigger capacity. And they even have these ideas that they want to execute. And what they're struggling with is creating it in this reality, like making it tangible, right? Something that's going to bring them more abundance in business or in their relationships or in their athleticism or in their, acting or, whatever sport they're playing. What is like the most powerful, or is there one,
Well, I
question
mean,
that they,
yeah. No, I think it's really about, it's about that one moment when you're together, and each individual is with you and I for a different reason.
Yeah.
But I would say the two, if I were to like to rip the personality away and rip the body away and rip the career away and rip the parents away, and I would say that the two underlining questions somewhere within them that I get to talk to is, the first one would be, how did this happen? Like why am I feeling this way? Adam, why am I feeling this way? Like, how did this happen to me? Almost like they don't realize what's making them so upset, what's making them so scared, what's making them so in pain and anxious and fearful. But how did this happen? And then the second question, and the sad part is that they fight, right? The second question is a little bit of, it's not even a question sometimes, it's more of a statement, is like, but all this stuff got me to who I am and where I am today.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not ready to let go of this stuff. Because look what I am. Look at, like you look at my accomplishments, look at this. And I'm not even talking about stuff, this is everybody. But it got me this and it got me that. They think all of this stuff and maybe it's true. Maybe it's even true. But this is not gonna let you get to that next level. And it's about, look at my hands, how they're closed. It's about letting go. Yeah. And realizing that there's more, but you gotta let go. So that's what I usually confront every time. You rip out the personality, and you rip out the fear, and you rip out the whoever they are in front of you, male, female, famous, not famous, wanting to start a career, already the most kick-ass career. And the question is, how did I let this happen? How did this happen to me? And wait, you want me to let go of all of that? And that's where the journey begins.
That's where it begins. And like what I'm hearing is really letting go of identity.
Yeah.
Right. Like the letting go of this identity, this image, this mask sometimes that we put on. And this is something that I think, personally, I've struggled with 1,000 times. I don't know how many masks I've had on my face, before I finally, and I bet you there's still times where I have a mask on, I'm not perfect, but I'm always doing the best I can. But I think that, there's a mask that we all consciously or unconsciously carried or carry. And there's different layers of ripping that mask off regularly to find the purest source of identity. And I feel like that, and let me know what you think, is really coming back to this like playfulness, this innocence, this kindness, this sweetness.
100%. I think when you and I can get to that essence, that you, like you said before, those are all matters of the heart, right? When you then everything becomes your playground, and everything becomes spiritual. Business is spiritual, saying no is spiritual, saying yes is spiritual. It all becomes this beautiful playground and this beautiful camp to live in because we're living from our heart. And trust me, Eric, this is probably why I connect to my clients so well and why you connect to people so well. It's in what you said. I probably wear a mask. I probably put my mask on when I'm sleeping every night. I wake up with it, and I have to become more real every day. Like, that's why I connect with my clients. I am not the Messiah. I am not walking on water. I don't have it all figured out, but I've gone through it.
Yeah.
You know, but of course these things come up now. Look, sometimes they serve us. You know, sometimes that I'll have this competitive side come out of me, right? This feeling of like, I can fucking do that. I could crush that, right? I have to start realizing that that's actually a healthy thing. You know, that's a healthy side of me. That's me saying that I can do something. It's if I ever get jealous or animosity that someone else is doing it, that's the mask. Yeah. That's the mask. You know what I mean? That's not serving me. That's like, but like if there's something that's saying like I can do that, that's a healthy thing. That's a beautiful thing. So it's really sharing and being vulnerable, which is so difficult, by the way. It's so difficult. But being vulnerable and being real and living from our heart and not our head, and trusting in something that you can't see, you can't taste, you can't touch. Almost none of the 5 basic senses can tap into it. You really got to go within, and this is where meditation comes in, and journaling comes in, and saying yes and experiencing our new friendship and our new bond. You have to lean in. You have to lean in.
Yeah. I think that, you mentioned meditation and journaling and these practices that, maybe some people aren't aware of, or, they're aware of, but they don't do them. How important are these practices to the way that you're able to like really exponentially allow yourself to, go inside? And because we all have different ways of needing to really, really go deeper within. So my question to you is like, what are some of the practices that you do or suggest to the people around you, your clients, to really manifest the best version of themselves?
Eric, I'm a little radical. So I let my clients know what I do, but they can pick and choose. I want them to grow at their own pace. Yeah. I'm an all-in guy. So for me personally, I meditate every day, a minimum of twice a day. Usually first thing in the morning, 30 minutes, and sometime in the evening, another 30 minutes. But every day I must meditate, every single day. Meditation can look different every time. It doesn't have to be so concrete. Sometimes it's with candles, sometimes it's with a mirror and seeing things in the background. Sometimes it's outside. Sometimes it's taking it like no headphones, no guiding, nothing guided, just feeling the wind in my face. If people are around, it's better because I need to make sure that I can't let noise be a distraction. The idea is to be, so if people are talking, good, because what's behind, is there a truck coming? Okay, good. There was an airplane in the sky. Okay, there's a kid laughing there. It's good to get your senses and to realize what's going on. And not be like, oh no, I'm supposed to meditate, so everything has to be quiet. Like that'd be great, but that's crazy.
I love that.
Yeah, so I love picking up on that, and then picking up on the senses of the wind blowing on my face, and the wind's a feminine energy, and the sun beating down, that's a masculine energy, and just figuring, really tapping in. But to answer the question, I teach this to my clients. I help them, my clients, with meditation, journaling, prayer, what prayer really means, how they can start feeling that higher power, what I would call God, within their lives. But the main thing, the main answer to the question is like, what did it do to my life? Eric, it saved it. Yeah. It saved my life. I really don't think I would be the man I am today without this. As a matter of fact, I know I would. And between you and I don't even know if I'd be alive.
Yeah, I agree with that. Same, I feel the same way. And I feel like the more we're able to
tap into this prayer and this meditation, the more that we're able to like actually start paying attention. And having all these different sounds and things around us, we then are able to transmute it into the conversations that we're having. And instead of speaking, we're actually listening a lot more.
I love that.
It's something that I found fascinating in my own journey, like really, really being so present to the heartbeat and the breath, the wind, the sun, the mosquitoes, the flies, the birds, the everything, the people, and, like even the trees bristling, and knowing how that's actually always God speaking to us back to what's going through, what's coming through. And, because I feel nature is actually, because we are nature, it's such an important understanding that there is no separation between us and nature, because like we're part of it. And so when we're actually listening, there's always signs of our greatest, spirit and creator, guiding us and saying like, hey, like there's nothing to worry about, like just like trust, have faith, believe. And this is the ultimate connection that we can create with each other as humans, because if we're really wanting to be ultimately connected to each other, I just want to feel connected to you, Adam, and you want to feel connected to me. And if I'm speaking from my heart, not my head, you feel way more connected to me than if I'm coming with this intellectual, logical perspective. However, the biggest thing that I've understood is to break through those barriers, we have to go through this mindset perspective to break those limitations, to allow people to understand, wow, like this is where it comes from. Like it's actually here. And it brings this whole new level of awareness. And so you mentioned that, just like you, I'm like this all-in guy. How has that been in your journey? How do people, because the sensitivity that you spoke about earlier, I imagine is also something that can, if not handled, to your greatest and most ultimate awareness, it can be in a way where you feel other people's energy a lot faster than they feel yours. But because you're an all-in type of guy, they actually sometimes may feel like it's a force and not a power. So how do you deal with that as well? Because I think there's a lot of people out there that, they have this energy, myself included, of like, not intentionally. And in the past, I think I've allowed myself to really balance and learn how to be more silent and listen. And meditation helped a lot with that. But like, what would people, because, not everybody receives it the same way, would people in the past, if they have ever told you to tone it down or,
Yeah.
I love it. You already know. Like, how have you dealt with that?
Yeah. So I'm divorced, and I would have to say that would be the biggest thing between who we both respect each other very much and love our kids, but that would be the biggest thing between my ex and I. She was like, he's always too much. He's always too much. I heard that, and what I had to realize was, and I felt very broken from that, by the way. That's the truth. I felt broken because when you see someone but what happened was we were just on two different journeys. We were just on two different journeys. And, but yeah, it is a balance. You used the perfect word. It's a balance. And I'm sure there were times where I took all the oxygen in the room when I was younger, and I had to let everyone, hear my voice because I had something to say. And now you're right. It's a lot more listening. And then, really learning when to pick and choose your spots. I'm going to give a funny example to this.
Please.
My favorite athlete, and it's probably everyone's favorite athlete, but my favorite athlete of all time was Michael Jordan. Okay.
Yeah.
And his first three-peat, he was this, he was the greatest, right? He was the greatest player on earth, right? Greatest player ever, right? And he could dominate, but he took over games, and he could fly, and he could do this, he could fade away, and but he would dominate the game and take over the game. That was his way. And then he retires and he comes back. And I love the way someone explained this, right? And he wasn't the greatest player he was the greatest player, let's say, like, in the most different way. Like, he came back a more mature, evolved man. And he let the game come to him. And he picked and chose his spots, right? So he knew when to pass. He knew when to share the ball. He knew when to use the fadeaway and not just always go for the dunk. He said the last repeat is when he was a better player because he had mastered the game of basketball. And what happened with, I think, you and I is, and I'm not saying I'm a master of life, is I had to grow up and mature in my game.
Yeah.
So at first, I probably had to speak all the time, and I had to maybe dominate for a while, and I had to be all in and lead with this intensity. And then I started learning how to share and how to let life come to me and let clients come to me and let these moments come to me. And it was, look, even when I first started coaching, I wanted it more than my client. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the idea of over delivering, but someone like you and I, when you say over deliver, it's not healthy. You know what I mean? I'm making them dependent upon me. You know what I mean? And then now I have to live up to that standard. Now I have to live up to the standard of sending them 3 texts a day and checking them I'm making them codependent. So I had to learn how to trust my clients, how not to over deliver with your heart, but not over deliver from my mind. And to let life come to me in a way that I'm kind of like Michael, and it all becomes a game. So, and I'm still on that journey. I don't think we're ever done with that journey, but that's where I would say that all-in personality has transferred. It's that I realize that I have to be all in on patience as well. I have to be all in on tolerance. It can't just be all in on my goal. I need to get sober. I need to help you. I need to be the best dad. I'm fucking crazy. So I have to be all in on patience and all in on meditation and all in on journaling and all in on saying yes. And it's just a process.
And a big one, like something that I think that I always find that too much is based off of a perspective that is a perception of a different person, right? So too much, like the energy of the universe, of God, of our greatest power, there's not too much, it's infinite. So too much based off of an opinion, right? Like, and I think that's the thing is, like, I think the more that, minds and hearts like yours and mine come together, the more we start to mirror each other and really bring out the best of one another. And I think that that's the fascinating part of life is, you start to really magnetize to each other. You start to magnetize to the people that actually bring out the best in you. And this is probably the most fascinating thing is you now attract clients that really, they feel like society based off of ego has told them that they're too much. And they realize that your all-in personality, this is how I got really connected to Tony, is like his vigor, his strength, his tenacity, his power was something that resonated with me. And he saw me, and I saw him, and it was just something that allowed me to really express myself in the most powerful way. And as a result, I was able to really allow myself to express, because I think we're all seeking acceptance. And I know that that's what I was seeking. And fear of rejection was something it was like death, being rejected, being not part of it, being not involved, being, really worried what other people are thinking. And, and there's those patterns still show up in me. I can catch them,
I was just thinking about how you said, there's also, in my opinion, but I think there's also a divine timing of things. Because think about this, we're having this conversation, both of us, a little over 15 years clean and sober, on this new path of this, right? But 16 years ago, if we had met, we could have overdosed and died together. You know,
Yeah.
we would have been, we would have been vibing. We would have been vibing together. Our vibrations would have found each other, but we were on a completely different level. You know what I mean? Like we found each other now. You know, and I think that's a lot of it. You know, and a lot of for people like you and I, in my opinion, is to bring. It's to help them. I usually say it like this, right? I don't ever want anyone to think that we're higher than them, right? So I usually say it like this. It's a road, right? And Eric and Adam are down here. And they're more towards the beginning line. And we know what it's like to get over here. So we know where to make a left, we know where to make a right, we know where to come straight, we know where the potholes are, we know where the traps are. And we're just trying to help people catch up to where we are. You know, and then there are people like
take the shortcuts.
Yes. You know, and then there are people like our mentor, like Dion and Tony, and all these guys that you and I are meeting, and we're in these worlds, and they're ahead of us. You know,
Of course.
You know, to them, we're here in the road, and they're down here, but they're not higher than us.
No,
You know, they're not. You know, it's not like they're further down the road. They have more experience. They've been farther down the journey, and they know for us where to make a left, where to make a right, where to go straight. And it's really this idea of passing it on.
this wisdom, right? This like wisdom that they carry, and I think that it's, you know, like recently I've been studying a lot about like visionaries like you know, Gandhi and Muhammad and you know, Jesus and a lot of the prophets, as well as some of the rulers of like of the UAE and Dubai and things like visionaries, Einstein. And I've always been super interested in like history. This has been something that for me, like you know, Marcus Aurelius, like it was just like a divine understanding of the way that he could manifest his greatest ideas. And I feel like, you know, many of these, you know, whether they're called prophets or not, I believe that they actually prophesized a lot of what they've created. And, you know, at the end of the day, it was about coming into community and really helping one another see that it's a collective understanding and frequency that although we're willing to lead, we actually co-lead. We co-lead, we co-collaborate. We are this collective wisdom that helps us understand that, say, hey, like we're just tapping into streams of consciousness that have come before us so that we can actually continue, just like our teachers, you know, that are currently already have been doing it for decades or 2 or 5 or whatever. And they have tapped into those streams of consciousness a lot sooner. And now they've been able to gather that wisdom, actualize it, and be able to, you know, prophesize it, you know, discuss, philosophize, talk, and share their experience in such a powerful way that has brought this resonance so that you and I can find our passion, our purpose, our understanding, and continue that, you know, the torch, it's been passed so that we can pass it continuously. And I think that my belief too, that along this vision, especially with what's happening in the world right now, is how do we ask more questions and ask for other people's opinions and not create boxes, but open up a circle to help each other understand that, hey, like my vision, my perspective is one perspective. It may not be the right perspective, but as long as I'm in integrity and I can have compassion to it, I can listen to yours, hold you in your integrity and have compassion to it, and then listen to everyone else in that circle so that we can come up with a new paradigm, a new way of thinking, and bring solutions to the table so that we can actually create a better future for our children, our generation, the next generation to come.
It's a beautiful way of looking at the world, and I agree with you. You know, would you ever look at a bodybuilder or a power lifter, right, and say, no, you need to train like a marathon runner, and vice versa? Would you ever take a marathon runner and say, oh, no, forget about running the 16 miles, you need to get under 400-pound squats? you know, and like the prophets you mentioned, I happen to have a little bit of a radical belief of who Christ was. You know what I mean? Not that, but
I love
that's
it.
that's a whole other topic for a whole other day. But still, if whatever's going to lead people to this openness and this higher wisdom, you know, I personally found a great peace in what the teachings of Christ taught. You know, love God with all your heart, might, and soul. Love your brother as yourself. And if you take those 2 commandments, you kind of got the whole thing, right? Yeah. But it doesn't. I think as long as you open your mind to, like you said, if you start with Marcus Aurelius or you go to God, what were they all trying to say? You know, and not one voice is. If it's resonating with you, take it, run with it. You know, go with it as far as it can go. And then maybe you'll find a new teacher and a new book and just keep opening your mind. You know, I personally, the way I feel, and I would want everybody to feel this way, is I don't feel like I'm constantly seeking, right? I actually feel found. I feel found, right? But I feel like I still want to educate. Now, just because I feel found and I found, you know, that doesn't mean I don't want to keep educating it and nourishing it. And right, like once you build the body, you always want it. You got the body. You're gonna stop eating healthy and training, right? Yeah. No, you got to keep nourishing and keep seeing what it can do and keep it. So for me, I don't feel like I'm seeking here and I'm seeking there and I'm going to now read the Bible. And now I'm going to go to Quran and now I'm going to go over there. Now I'm going to go there and now I'm going to do this. I don't feel like I'm seeking. I'm lost. I feel found. I feel great peace in my heart. But now I take all those things that you mentioned and I use it as education.
Yes.
You know, and I feel like that's a big difference between you and I, like Eric and Adam and other people. I feel like a lot of people, unfortunately, there's a feeling of being lost, you know, but it's not the seeking. Look, it's how did somebody once say it? Are you going to worship the treasure map or the treasure?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, yes, the map is great and the seeking and the journey but really, the idea of the map, the idea is to find the treasure. So once you find the treasure and now you have it, well, it doesn't mean you can still nourish it. You can still be part of it. And I feel like that's where you and I are. You know, I remember what it was like feeling lost. Trust me, when you and I were fucking smoking crack, I was lost. Yeah. I was fucking lost, you know, but now I'm found. And it doesn't mean I know everything. But I use all of these things to nourish what I found.
The nourishment, I think, is what helps us continue on the path, right? And yeah. I know that there's times where I wake up and I feel lost. I'll be very honest with you. And like it's like this feeling of like, fuck, man. Like I'm really doing this, or is this like a dream that I'm living? And it's beautiful because you come back to your body and you're like, man, like I have so much to learn still, you know, I still have so much.
Oh, yes.
And that I think has been for me a very humbling experience. You mentioned something beautiful about like going out there, the masculine energy, right? Like, so like going out there to like, you know, implement, right? And then really staying in your center and allowing things to come to you and being very feminine, which is something that you didn't like in your past.
Hated.
How do you balance these two energies? Because we and every single human person in this world has both energies inside of them. So how do you balance these energies so that you're really able to bring out the best, ultimate, balanced version of yourself? Because as men, you know, I've been toxic. You know, I'm sure that you've had your own experiences with that. And toxic masculinity is something that I feel needs to be addressed a lot more as well, because this feminine side of us, which is our nurturing, our mother, our like connection to nature, God, creator, each other,
is what is actually going to benefit the people that we really want to help, ultimately each other, ultimately humanity, ultimately our clients' business, you know, everything that it takes. So going back again, because you know I could talk forever.
No, I love it. It makes it flow. It makes it flow.
Yeah. So allowing yourself to be in this perspective, and I do see this in you, bro. Like you have a beautiful balance to you of being able to you know, like be strong but also centered, and like you know, powerfully contained. And so how have you been able to accomplish this? I know that meditation has been a big part of that for sure, but is there anything else?
Yeah. Well, hold up. Let me also go back. This is this could be like a whole like show you and I could do together. So let me tell you what I
Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, we really. So I recently took a whatever you want to call it, like a 20 or 50 question test on masculine and feminine energy. Never had done that before. Never had done it. Probably because I was afraid to. And I was afraid to take this one because I was afraid to find out how feminine my energy was. That's the truth, right? And the questions were very, very specific. Like, do you like things a certain way? And do you like to be calculated? Right? Very, very specific questions. Mm-hmm. And what I found out, and it's good for me to be able to share this with you, was I was top of masculine energy.
Wow.
And I thought I was going to be very feminine because I'm so sensitive and because I'm so emotional does not mean that my masculine energy wasn't the strongest part of me. And I thought that was so interesting, right? Because I am the guy that if I hit you hard, I'm going to pick you back up. And if I get a move on you, I want to show you then how I did that. But that didn't mean that I wasn't masculine. And it was such a healthy thing for me to find out because I was terrified of taking the test. I didn't want this thing to tell me I feel like I always knew I'm a girl. You know what I mean? I thought that's what it was going to say. And it's not the case. And I think for me, Eric, I think what it is that it's believe it or not, it's a day by day practice. It's a minute by minute practice of me realizing that there are some certain components that I have to do. And in doing it, I automatically balance out. So for me, I have to stay well hydrated and take care of my body and exercise. I have to. This doesn't mean high intensity, doesn't mean bodybuilding, doesn't mean have to be a 10-mile run. I have to move my body every day. I have to somehow take care of it, you know?
Yeah.
I personally have to address my recovery. I have to feed my recovery from where I came from. And that can look in many different ways, a variety of different ways, but I still need to make sure that I'm always leaning into my recovery and not where I came from. So that's another thing. The other thing I have to do, like you and I spoke about, is meditate, right? I have to pray. And I need to have one talk, like what we're doing right now. I need to be vulnerable at least one time a day. And then after that, let go and just be Adam. Make mistakes, help people, eat, don't try to be perfect on my diet, maybe intentionally fuck it up, just relax, relax a little.
Relax
a little bit. But without those other components, I'm not balanced at all. Yeah. Right? So if I don't do those things that we discussed, either the macho guy is going to show up or the too feminine guy is going to show up. It's not balanced. I'll either be too sweet and empathetic or I'll be too controlling and competitive. And it depends on the fucking day.
This is really good because I feel like that brings out the best version of your being. So instead of doing, you actually be. Yeah. And in being, you become.
Yeah. Right? I remember when I got sober, they always taught us, stop being a human doing and be a human being.
Yeah.
I love that.
That dude.
So, bro, you know, I really wanted to get a little bit more of like, if anybody really wants to know more how to connect with you, how to work with you, where to find your book, you know, all this information that best serves. And if there's anything that you want to share about that, please let us know. Like right now, like I'd love to hear so people have an idea of whoever's listening.
You know, I actually, I believe in this world where we found each other of this new integrated social media world. So if anybody reaches out to me on Instagram, I'll always DM you back. You could find information on me on, look, there's a lot of interviews of me out there on YouTube. There's Adam Javelin at Facebook, Adam Javelin at Instagram, Adam Javelin at LinkedIn. I have my website where you can see a bunch of interviews of me on like Fox News, CBS, ABC. My book is on Amazon. But really, like if you're looking for someone to shoot the shit with, and you have a few questions, please throw them my way, because it's not always about trying to get a new client. A lot of times I like answering people's questions to let them know that they're not alone. Yeah. You know, that they're not alone. And if a relationship comes out of it, great. But if not, at least I felt like I did some service that day.
Beautiful, bro. And we'll put it all in the show notes so that people that you know, they need to find out where, so it's easy for them to connect. Dear brother, I have a last question that I want to ask you.
Go ahead.
If you had 3 days left to live, what would you do?
Oh, wow. Wow, I wasn't expecting this, Eric. Okay. All right, 3 days left to live. First thing I'm going to do is make sure I see my kids and anyone that's really, really, really close to me, my parent, and give them the biggest hug and squeeze and tell them how much I love them from the bottom of my heart. You know, from the bottom of my heart. And I'm going to spend one whole day doing loving gestures like that and telling them one-on-one what they meant to me, how I feel about them, and that in spirit, I'm going to leave a lot of signs that they know I'm always around them. So I don't want them to say this is a goodbye. You know, this is a continuation of our relationship, but I'm going to be on the other side in 3 days. Right. So the first day is all about love and connection. The second day, I'm going to try to do all the things that I always wanted to do or I want to experience. Right. So I'm going to go surfing. I'm going to parachute. I'm going to go ballistic with adrenaline and do things that I always wanted to do, eat things I always want to eat. You know what I mean? And just kind of bring all my senses to level 12, right? And the third day, I'm just gonna chill on Earth because it's my last day on Earth. You know, I'm gonna enjoy the planet, whatever comes my way. If it's a rainy day, if it's a sunny day, and I'm just gonna realize it was a good life. I said goodbye to everyone. I just experienced everything I always wanted to. Last day, I'm just gonna like let myself know, all right, kid, you did good. You did good.
Beautiful.
That's it.
Dude, honestly, it was a pleasure. Do you have anything that you would love to share? Any insight that you just want to, you know, let everyone know or anyone know?
Yeah. Well, first off, let's try to make this one of many. I had a great time with you.
Yes.
And one of the greatest lessons that has been very important to my life. So I love to pass it on. It was taught to me by my mentor, and I love to pass it on to anybody because I feel like most of us get this confused. Is please, after listening to our talk, do not confuse love and approval. I did that my whole life. I was seeking other people's approval, thinking it was love. You know what I mean? If I love you, so let me use my kids. I love my kids unconditionally. There is no fucking way I'm going to approve of everything they do in life. It's impossible. It's impossible, right? If my kids want to go down the road you and I went down, I do not approve. I don't approve. Please, You do not need to be snorting cocaine and drink. Like, I don't approve, right? No, right? But don't mistake it with love. And I was trying to get everybody's approval for so many years, thinking it was their love.
Mm.
You know, so detach from that. You know, if people love you, they love you. You don't need their approval.
So powerful, bro. Very beautiful statement, man.
Thanks, bro.
Dude, thank you for being here, man. It really was an honor. You're, a new brother. I'm really excited to get to know you deeper, spend more time together. I'm certain our paths will cross continuously over these next few decades. And yeah, bro, just sending you so much love, sending love and light to your family, your clients, your environment. And like, yeah, man, just keep on being you, bro. It's really a pleasure and an honor to have met you and continue to live this beautiful life together.
Eric, just know I'm really proud of you, bro. What you're doing is special. I just know somebody's really fucking proud of you.
Thank you, brother. It means a lot. It really does.
See you, pal.
Hey, everyone, and thank you so much for listening to The Resilient Minds. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please make sure to go comment and like and follow us on iTunes or Spotify. And please make sure that if you really love this, to share this episode. And make sure that you're inviting all your friends to like it as we continue to unfold what the beauty of our minds does. More importantly, how powerful our heart level of intelligence can be when we combine our heart and our brain together. And more importantly, check out the alignment course that I've created. It's seriously there for you to take advantage of at www.ericbalance.com/alignment. See you on the next show.